Looking for Christmas card inspiration that is slightly different from what you're used to? I am making 2 Christmas cards with the new Carla Creates collection by Vasen Creative. From layering to stamping, embossing, cutting and coloring. Everything comes together in this fun card making process. Want to craft along or just get inspired? Let's get started! Hello, it's Sis Volk. Time to enjoy card making with me. In Carla Creates Christmas release is a stack of colorful paper. Today I take a selection of greens and gold out of this pack. For the 2 cards I'm going to make today, I will use the same colors. I will be stamping and coloring on Florence watercolor paper, and the stamps I will use are this cute little bird wearing the funny Christmas hats that also fit on the row of chickens that are on this same stamp set. I stamp with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. And I will color it using Distress ink Fossilized Amber, Distress Oxide Lumberjack Plate, Distress ink Lost Shadow and a water brush. This is a Pentel water brush small. When I was coloring this little yellow chick, I noticed too much water coming out of the water brush. I always take a piece of kitchen paper next to my work to be able to wipe off the water brush and to pick up too much water from my work. I color in layers of ink and apply the next layer when the previous layer soaked into the paper. When one layer dries, I work on the next bird and other items to color before I go to the next layer. I add some shadow to the white fur on the heads using grey ink. I add some random dots to the edges with my brush. I keep drying my brush on the paper towel. Now I get a more pigmented layer. These funny small Christmas hats all fit on the cute little birdies. I cannot choose which one to use, so I color them all. It is very quickly colored and I think I will use the remaining heads on my next card. Adding some red on the cheeks of the yellow birds make a nice shading and give the birds some more cuteness. These Christmas hats are so fun to play with. One of these 2 hats is going to be the one. For the card bases, I take an A4 piece of white cardstock that I cut in half at 14.8 cm. Now I have 2 cards that are the same size. These 2 cards I score at 10.5 cm. I fold the card base in half and reinforce the crease with a bone folder to get a nice crisp fold. For the colors of the 2 cards for today, I chose greens and craft and gold. It looks nice like this on a white card base already. You can make 4 strips like this, but I will try something else. I cut strips out of each of the colors. Craft and dark green I cut 4 cm and gold and light green 5 cm. Then I cut the strips to make blocks. Dark green is 4 times 7.8 cm. Craft is 4 times 5 cm, gold is 5 times 5 cm and light green is 5 times 7.8 cm. I intend to leave half a centimeter white space on all borders. That is why the measurements of the blocks I cut are at 0.8 cm, so that there is an even size on all sides. On these papers I will use the Merry Christmas stencil. Also the stencil with the stars. I will use the embossing with the stars for 3 of the 4 pieces of paper. I place them on the raised side of the embossing folder. And then I run it through my die cutting machine. I keep the pieces of paper in the embossing folder for now. The reason for that is that I want to use the matching stencil. Because this random star pattern is unique, it is hard to search for the spot where the pattern fits the embossing. If you keep it in the embossing folder, you will only have to turn the stencil and you will find the matching pattern quickly. A piece of tape can now hold the stencil on the right place. You can place the stencil back and pick up the next paper for the correct position of the paper on the stencil. And tape that to the back with some easy removable tape. The same for the gold glitter paper. Keep this tip in mind because you'll feel like you're doing a jigsaw puzzle when you remove the pieces before you know the position of the stencil. Now we can color the stars. I will embellish them with Nuvo embellishment mousse, the white version. I take a little bit on my finger. My mousse has dried out a little, so it is some drier than a new jar. On my glass mat I test how much is on my finger. We don't need a lot. Now I see that the stencil is not positioned correctly. I will first place it in the right spot. Then I smear the mousse on the star pattern. When the mousse is too dry, you can add water to it. I add water to my glass mat, but you can also spray some water in the jar and mix it very well. If the mousse is too wet, it might run a little underneath the stencil. If it is too dry, you won't get much mousse on the paper and you will notice this quickly enough. Also on the glitter paper you can apply some mousse. Depending on how much you apply, it will be see-through or opaque. When we are finished, I spray some water in the jar, close it with some Press-Seal, and if you don't have Press-Seal, a plastic bag will do just fine. Using a baby wipe, I can easily clean my fingers and also my workspace and the stencil. Even when the embellishment mousse has dried, you can still remove it from the stencil or work mat. The effect that you get from the mousse is stunning. You can see that I used too much water when I added the mousse. It ran under the stencil. Now it is still wet, I can try to remove some with a wet brush. The stains will dilute with water and will disappear or become less visible. If you want to take no risk at all in having mousse or paste run under your stencil, you can always use stencil spray or spray glue on the back of the stencil. That way your stencil will get sticky like a post-it and you don't need tape to keep it in place. The fourth piece of paper I will use with the other stencil. The Merry Christmas stencil will add a nice variation and text to it. Also here I tape the paper to the back of the stencil with tape to keep it in place. Again I use Nuvo embellishment mousse. Be careful with this stencil, it has delicate pieces. It will work just fine with the mousse or with a blending brush or with a spray paint. The result is very nice. It is fun that the white layer of embellishment mousse is very well visible on that dark green paper. And the paper does not warp at all. Now I will do some stamping and coloring. I stamp the long line on a piece of watercolor paper. Then I stamp the 2 Christmas bubbles on it, alternating, or not quite alternating. After heat embossing this, I can color these bubbles. And for that, I use the same colors as I already used for the little chick. It is helpful that I kept the laminated card for my ink and didn't clean it yet. Check out my video about the laminator if you haven't already. In it I share a great tip on how to make a mask for your stencils. You will love it. Until now I had the idea to use a border on the sides, but now I changed my mind and lay the pieces of paper close to the edge. On top I add a piece of vellum. I cut out the entire string of lights, leaving a small white border around the light cord. The cute little chick can wear its hat now. Now I will cut the Merry Christmas sentiment out of gold cardstock. I like the font Carla Creates uses for her stamps and dies a lot. They can be tricky to glue to the paper, however. When sticking double-sided adhesive to the back of the glitter paper, you will have trouble getting it off, because the glitter paper is too sturdy. I found another solution which also adds more dimension to the sentiment. If you cut the sentiment out of a piece of normal cardstock that has double-sided tape on both sides, you will make a sticky template for the gold glitter cardstock to stick on. And because it is double-sided, you will have adhesive on the back as well. Leave the black die cut in its original shape. Peel off the top layer of the adhesive. Then you can stick the gold glitter paper on. Because the black paper with the adhesive is still in one piece, there is no possibility to wiggle and the gold sentiment will stay nice. I will press firmly using a bone folder so all pieces stick together. Also, it is more sturdy now, so when we pull this out of the die cut shape, the sentiment will survive. Before adding the text, I want to adhere that cute little chick first. I will place it a little off center, in between that white space and where one bubble is missing. Using foam blocks, I adhere it a bit raised. I make sure the vellum is centered in the middle and the light cord is on the right place before I stick the little chick on. Also the light cord I will stick on the vellum with foam blocks. Using foam blocks there is no chance of making stains or warping on the vellum. I skip adhering foam blocks on the two outer bubbles right now. That helps me to hold it without tearing anything. The vellum is smaller as well, so the two bubbles on the side must be stuck on later. Now we can turn the vellum and add foam blocks on the back of the foam blocks we just added. This way we also raise the vellum and have a safe and easy way to adhere the vellum to the card. I leave the protective backings on for now. On the outer two bubbles we need to stick two foam blocks. However, there is no vellum in between, they will have to have the same height as the other ones. Now that everything is in place, we can adhere the sentiment. For me, using double-sided tape is easy when die cutting intricate dies. No worries about glue stains or delicate gluing when you use double-sided tape. Especially for this beautiful text die. Also on the back of the vellum, we need to add the same sentiment to be able to adhere it. For that I stick double-sided tape on two pieces of white paper on one side. On the third piece of white paper I stick double-sided tape on both sides. I cut the Merry Christmas sentiment out of all three pieces. The piece you see now is the one with double-sided adhesive on both sides. Peel off the die carefully. And now you can add this text on the exact same place as the sentiment on the other side of the vellum. It is nice that this vellum is see-through. And next the other two text dies on top. Both have the double-sided tape on the back of the paper. These I stick together to make a nice raised layer that we can stick behind the vellum on the other side of the sentiment. It was a delicate task to stick all these layers together, but it turned out really nicely. Next time I would do this with glue if I didn't have the vellum in between the layers. Now I can remove the backings of the foam blocks. You can see that the overhanging ornaments have two pieces stuck on top of each other. The one next to it has one on this side of the vellum, but also one on the other side. So basically there are two everywhere. That also counts for the little yellow chick and all bubbles. The sentiment has two layers on the top side and has three layers on the other side. Only the foam blocks and the sentiment hold the vellum panel on its place on the card. Why is it that I always forget to add white highlights and only think of it when the card is basically finished? This card had some fun techniques and lots of layers, embossing, embellishment mousse and of course that cute little yellow Christmas chick. Now let's make a second one, a bit easier. No vellum this time, but still super cute. Stick with me! From my previous card I still have some strips of paper left. I will use them on my next card. The length of them will have to be 10.5 centimeters. That is the same length as the width of the card. In the Christmas die collection are small circles that can be used as shake elements, or as red berries, or what I will do, use them as snow. I will cut holes in the green panels, leaving an open space that shows the white card underneath. Let me know if you have other ideas to use these tiny little circles. There are 8 tiny ones and 2 larger ones, so 10 in total, might you are searching for one. The small dies stick very well to the magnetic sheet in this storage binder. And this is what the die cut strips look like. The gold strip we will use for the sentiment. I store the sentiments on another magnetic sheet in my storage binder. There are lots of text combinations possible. I choose warm winter wishes for my card. And as I said, I cut it out of the gold glitter cardstock on which I adhere double-sided tape on the back. I also cut the warm winter wishes out of black cardstock with double-sided adhesive on the back. This black layer will function as a shadow and extra dimension. Next, I will also use some stamps. Scrolling through this huge Christmas collection, I am looking for 2 stamps that I haven't pulled back in the sleeves yet. I will use the 2 Christmas trees from this stamp set, and I will use the funny chickens. The 2 Christmas trees are different in size. One is wide and the other one is more narrow. I will use both to stamp on the colored paper strips with the die cut holes in them. Lots of variations are possible. You could also use the holy leaves or the snowflakes. They are also very pretty. And the matching snow stamps would also be a great match. I will be stamping with the Versamark Dazzle ink. And because I don't want to ruin my already die cut paper strips, I will first make a test run on a few scraps. You can see me use the Dazzle ink in another video I made. The link for it is in the description below this video or in the top right corner. See, with this Dazzle ink you get a watermark stamped image with a little glimmer effect. It is just what I need on the background for my card. On the lighter green paper it is just as visible. It is a little harder to see on the craft paper, but it looks very nice together. On the back of the scraps of paper I also stamped the trees with black VersaFine ink, just to compare the difference. Now I stamp the stick on which these chickens will sit. I place the stamp straight on my work mat and pick it up with a clear block. Now it is immediately positioned straight and on the right place on my clear block. I stamp this with Versamark black ink on Florence watercolor cardstock. I also stamp the chickens and heat emboss the image. It is fun that we can use these chickens not only for Christmas but also for other occasions. Using the same colors as for the first card, which are Distress Ink Fossilized Amber, Distress Oxide Lumberjack Plate and Distress Ink Lost Shadow, I color the chickens and their Christmas hats. Their bellies I make look more round by adding a little bit of grey ink on the sides. Also on the places where shading is needed I add some grey. The harsh lines I soften with just water. Then I color the red parts and I decide to color their necks with yellow first. I add red cheeks to that cute little chick and also add a light layer of red on top of the yellow. Adding a little bit of red makes a new color and it also gives dimension to the image. Also the heads get a little bit of shading on the fur. Using Distress Oxide Black Soot, I color the stick for the chickens and also the space in between the chickens. I won't be cutting it all and I want shading below them. I don't bother coloring the heads of all the chickens as they will be wearing hats later anyway. I decide to keep the white paper border to use later as a place for the sentiment to sit. Cutting it on an angle creates a sense of perspective. Now I can glue the funny Christmas hats on top of the chickens. See that it was not necessary to color the heads completely? Now I cut the image, I can see better where more shading is needed. I can still add some more black soot ink in between the chickens. Now that I've prepared my image and also made the stamped scraps, I can choose how to decorate the die-cut strips for the background. The black ink on Craft is too dark, but the Versamark on Craft is too light. I decide I will combine the both alternately. The background won't be too busy this way. I stamp both Christmas trees in Versamark Dazzle ink equally apart from each other. Next, I stamp both Christmas trees in VersaFine Onyx Black and spread them out across the paper. I also stamp over the edge of the paper. Next, I glue the strips equally apart from each other on the base card. A clear block can serve as a weight on the piece of paper while the glue dries. First I glue the outer two panels, and the middle one fits exactly in between last. If there is a small strip hanging over the edge, we can still cut it off. Remember to always glue them over the bottom edge. That makes cutting easier. The sentiment fits on the border I cut. If it were too small, I would have cut a new strip of paper and glued that on top. Because of the double-sided adhesive, I can, if I am careful, still reposition the words. On the back of the chickens, I stick 2 mm foam blocks. I still have a feeling that there is something missing on this card. I don't want to add vellum again. That will remove too much of my stamped background. I can, however, still stamp white snow on top of the paper strips in the background. That I will test on my straps again. First I test how it will look with this Distress Oxide picket fence. This stamps okay. As an alternative I have a really old Memento Lux ink in the color Wedding Dress. That one stamps a more crispy image and is normally better visible despite the fact that my ink pad is fairly dry. I stamped the snowflakes crisscross on my background with the Picket Fence Distress Oxide ink. Did my cards inspire you to create your own? Then tag me @sisvolk and use the hashtag #InspiredBySisvolk when you share your work on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to see and share your creations. More card making inspiration you can find on my Facebook, Pinterest and Instagram accounts Sisvolk. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel Sisvolk and watch more videos I shared over the years. If you hit the bell button, you will be notified if I upload a new video. I aim to upload one every Monday as long as I can. It is appreciated if you like this video and give a thumbs up. Hopefully more people will discover the fun images of Carla Creates by Fast and Creative, so that we can make others smile with a nice handmade card, or just make ourselves happy with all those cute little figures. Information about the products I used can be found in the description below every video. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I will see you next Monday. Have a nice day. Bye bye.